Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and X-Men Annual, issue number 1. I'm just going to try and be fair and civilized and just say that Cyclops is back. And it's not just, look, it's an image of, this is the variant cover. This is not just an image of Cyclops and some writer decided to throw down, blah, 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 blah. No. This is Ed Brisson, as I believe we've come to know and love him. This is the guy that I've been talking about for a while, that this guy, he wrote the best version of Sabretooth that I've seen in more than a decade, probably 2 decades. And just like, you name it, he writes it, and it's freaking awesome. I have very few comics that I don't like from him. This guy came along. You know what? Let's just get into the comic book, all right? I may have mentioned this guy named Ed Brisson is the writer. Carlos Gomez is on art. Guru-eFX did the colors. The letters are done by VC's Joe Caramunga. There's 2 cover artists that came along, Salvatore LaRocca and Rachel Rosenberg. Freaking awesome. But I gotta say, this variant cover in my hand, Edward Petrovic, you're awesome. And Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created the original X-Men, including effing Cyclops, who's back, by the way. And we start off, man, like, we go over his death, how he died. You know, he comes back. We know how this stuff happened. We get this interesting, this actually looks like Sciola kind of book. These next couple of pages where he's in the past, and it looks like those old 4-dot color matrix stuff, and it's beautiful. And there's just this character from way back in the day who he had saved, and this character who he beat up in order to save the other character, and a whole bunch of other people also. But this particular character, the first one, they're both smart, all right? They're in Cambridge, MIT, and I'm going to call this one guy, 10 years later, it turns out that he's so smart, he was working in, and he was very grateful to Cyclops for saving him, that he just says, if you ever need me, call on me. And he meant it. He genuinely meant it. So he keeps his promises. And I think that's supposed to be the theme. I think that's supposed to be the theme here. But again, I don't write the comics, I just read them. But I think that's important. Anyway, this guy goes on, he becomes one of Tony Stark's best engineers, and Cable, young Cable, with you know, some love beads. He's got the what do you call what the hell am I thinking about here? The St. Louis, no. Oh, God damn it, whatever the hell it's called. The freaking, you know, show me your boobs beads. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, he's got a bunch of them around his freaking neck, all right? And it's kind of weird. I never noticed that before. I noticed it here. In this particular instance, though, he comes by, he's going to help out this dude. He's like, listen, Cyclops helped you 10 years ago. You're going to help him again. You've got 2 years to shrink down this device, and it's actually one of the devices that Tony Stark had created, go figure, to actually try and capture the Phoenix Force, if you remember the AVX, Avengers vs. X-Men stuff. So yeah, a bunch of stuff is mentioned from Phoenix Rebirth. Mind you, Brisson didn't write all of this stuff, so he's taken what other people have done. And this is back when Phoenix, Jean Grey came back, and the Phoenix resurrected Cyclops, hoping that it was going to be enough to make her want to become the Phoenix again, and it wasn't. So she allowed him to die, but he was back for a little while. That was actually truly him. I wasn't sure. I couldn't be sure. I figured, but I didn't want to make any, you know, speculations or anything. No, it was actually him. He came back, and then he was allowed to die again. All of this has to do with how he comes back, in this particular case, permanently, or at least it seems permanently. Could also be that doomsday switch, which could kill him. But at the same time, I think just putting a bullet in his head would probably kill him too. So it's not really that big of a freaking deal. The point is, the way that he comes back is about as close to comic book realism as you're going to get. How did Captain America come back in Brubaker's run? It's not very, you know, more or less realistic than this particular return. But at least to me, it makes sense, all right? Real world physics, never gonna work. I couldn't create one of these devices. That's just not gonna happen. But in the comic books, I'm pretty sure I could, and Cyclops would say thank you, and I would be the happiest SOB in the world. And also say, even though I'm not a mutant, could you please train me? So the point is, this felt good. Like, I don't know how else to explain that. You read this comic book, and if you're a Cyclops fan, this isn't just like I was mentioning earlier on. This isn't just like you're playing a video game and you get a new reskinning of a character. No. This is the actual original character. This is Cyclops come back. He talks about the X-Men who came forward in time and then went back. You know, he was technically one of them. He still has those memories. This is... what else can I say except this is Ed Brisson writing Cyclops? And damn it, this is awesome. This is awesome. So the story's going to continue in Uncanny X-Men issue number 11, which I believe is coming out next week. I don't actually know. Maybe I should actually look at it. Does it say? Does it say? Does it say? Secret Avengers, all this other stuff, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I don't see it. But anyway, boom. This should be the next issue. He's going to come back. And apparently Wolverine's going to be there. If not by that issue, then by issue 12. And it's going to be Cyclops and Wolverine return from the dead and saving the effing X-Men from like the Nate Gray and everything else you could possibly imagine. It's weird, dude. Like, I'm genuinely excited to be reading comic books right now because this feels like Scott. I know a lot of people who are just like super fans, like, no, I'm with Scott even if he becomes Magneto. Well, he did technically become Magneto. And I wasn't the biggest fan. I started to fall away. Whatever, mate. Call me not a fan. Call me not a fan if you want. Shut up. Stop saying that. But I wasn't a huge fan of him turning evil. Oh, it was great character development. It was progression. I could understand how he was going down. So all of it, it was good. The way that it happened, it was good. But I still understood that he was a bad guy. And now he's back. And we have enough of an explanation how he's going to come back. Like when young Cable said to him, you have these choices to make. And I'm not going to tell you which one to choose. I'm not going to tell you anything. I just need to know who I brought back. It was exquisite. I loved this comic book. It's not some over-the-top, wow. It's not going to be something where you're going to be like, oh my God. No. Inside jokes are one thing. This is kind of like an inside joke. No. Instead, this is a comic book for the fans. I'm usually not a fan of that. I'm usually of the John Byrne, and I've said this many times, the John Byrne explanation of every comic book is someone's first comic book, so write the comic book as though you're writing it for a longtime fan and for a first person to read that. Look, if you're not familiar with Cyclops, if you're not enough familiar with Cyclops that you don't understand why he's such a big deal to the X-Men, to the comic books, to Marvel, to everything, then this comic book is not for you. And that's just, it's nothing. It's not a slight on you. It's not meant for you. That's all it was. It wasn't written for you. Skip this comic book if that's the case. But if you are a Cyclops fan, I genuinely believe this comic book is going to make you giddy and smile ear to ear and maybe just a little bit more. This was for the fans. This is a comic book that I feel everybody who is on Twitter should you know what? I'm going to do this myself. Just type thank you to Mr. Brisson, real talk, because this was awesome. And that's that. Guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, class dismissed.